This is Detective Jason McNeil, Halifax Regional Police Professional Standards Branch. Today is the 11th day of September 2025. The time is 2 o'clock. I'm at the Larry UTEC McDonald's with Mark English. It's in relation to Police Complaints Commission File 25-0148. This is a police complaint involving Subject Officer Constable Daniel O'Neill and affected person Mark English. Thanks for joining me this afternoon, Mr. English.
Hi.
If you could, talk to me a little bit about your Police Act complaint and your interaction with Constable O'Neill.
I first stumbled upon a lady who was drugged on August 30th or July 30th, I believe it was. And she was clearly incoherent, and she was wearing wealthy clothes. Like, she looked very healthy and was very attractive. Her face was had a very fair complexion. She was very beautiful, and this homeless-looking, drug addict-looking, more than twice her age guy in a construction outfit was comforting her and said he was going to call her a cab instead of an ambulance. What I noticed mostly was she was wearing very wealthy-looking clothes, like a young professional, and lived in the downtown south end of Spring Garden area or something, and that she was very beautiful, and that this doesn't look right. And but they weren't afraid of me. The other two guys, one of them was named as Jesse. The guy sitting down on Birmingham Street also wasn't afraid. He had a ponytail and dark hair, and they said he knew the police. The guy sitting down, he said he didn't care about me calling the police because he knows the police. So I think the Jesse guy and the guy with the ponytail are informants. And then, in my suspicion, one of the reasons why police chose not to investigate, they're like informants in the drug trade or underground drug dealing. And they probably do crack or something, I don't know. A few days later, I don't know for sure if this is the same girl, but the first day, July 30th, the girl told me her name was Jessie. I later learned that was not true. One of the guys' name is actually Jesse. And also I forgot to mention that this girl who supposedly was Jessie, she told me she knew this other Jesse guy for years. And I don't know if that was true, but she was like acting like it was no big deal, even though she was drugged and probably not giving consent to this. I don't know. It was very weird, but anyway, I don't see a girl like that giving consent to being taken away. And she may have just been embarrassed and not wanted to get be noticed like this. But a few days later, I saw another girl who was with this Jesse guy who looked like the original girl who said her name was Jessie, but I wasn't sure. And they were in front of Shoppers Drug Mart on Spring Garden Road. I mentioned that to one of the officers. And this Jesse guy instructed her to walk up Spring Garden Road with a bag behind her shoulder, and she was looking around. And I don't know if it was the same girl, but all the police had to do was check the security camera and see if it was the same girl, or see what the girl looked like anyway. I don't know how they would, there's other security cameras up Birmingham Street probably. They probably could have checked where the homeless-looking man took the original girl. There's plenty of different cameras up there, but they didn't seem to bother checking any of them. And so I actually do not know whether they're the same girl. The second girl didn't look similar to the first girl, but she didn't have as a fair complexion, looks more like a drug addict. And I was just assuming that this original girl started getting into drugs, and that may be what they're implying. But by saying it was all suspicion and assumptions, but I think that the original reason they chose not to call me back for 7 more days after I had been telling the police repeatedly, calling them, that I had pictures of the perpetrators, was they already knew that they already knew them and that they were informants. Instead, they were protecting informants over not helping a potential human trafficking victim. And the second girl I saw definitely did not have a fair complexion, looked like she had been doing drugs, and did not have wealthy looking clothes. But the original girl was very, very beautiful, very wealthy looking clothes.
Okay, I just want to ask a few clarifying questions if I could.
Okay.
So on your Police Act form, you had referred to the date of July the 30th, right?
Yeah.
And you had, when we spoke now, you had talked about several different days, I think, when you had saw different, potentially the same woman,
Yeah.
but different days.
Yeah, I just
Correct.
randomly stumbled upon her. I just happened to be in
Right.
the area.
And if I understand this correctly, the first time, because of the way she was dressed, you had the perception that she was affluent or something.
Definitely.
That's your perception?
Yeah.
Was that on July the 30th?
Yeah, that's when I first saw her, July 30th. And I
And-
called 911 that day, too.
Okay. Now, so you called 911 that day. Now, did you speak with Constable O'Neill that day?
No, I didn't speak to them until like 7 days later.
I see.
First was the original constable.
So and that was Dan O'Neill that you spoke with?
Eventually, after the first one, I think that Dan O'Neill probably had a head officer advise him to say that to me. That's my assumption, but I don't know
see.
that.
So on the first day, when you called July 30th, you didn't hear from anybody that day? You said about a week later.
The dispatch officer kept asking whether I saw an ambulance, and I had left. I didn't know whether an ambulance actually arrived, and I had to go charge my phone in order to make the call. I thought the police should be called instead of an ambulance in order to catch the perps. So I called 911 to get the police involved, but I don't know if the police actually did anything. And I kept on calling back on subsequent days to let them know that I had pictures of the perpetrators and for a police officer to call me, but no one got back to me until 7 days later.
So, and when you did, it was Constable Dan O'Neill, correct?
No, it was the first guy, the Concord or...
Okay. Okay. But your complaint is against Constable O'Neill.
Yeah, but because he was the one that sent the final email that said, thank you for your emails. It just seems to be all speculation and suspicion at this point, and we already have officers patrolling the area. You'd think if they were going to do an investigation, they would say there is an investigation in process. Thank you for your info and blah, blah, blah. But I assumed that they are not investigating at all. And I also assumed it wasn't Constable Daniel O'Neill's decision. It was his advisor or head officer advised him to say that to me.
So when you did speak with Constable O'Neill, what did you tell him took place?
What did I tell him?
Yeah.
Basically what I told you, a little more detail and written out in my emails, which I gave to you.
Yeah. Okay. And just for clarification, I think you've already answered this sort of in the abstract. This lady that you've observed on multiple occasions, or you believe to be the same person, do you know her? Like, you know her?
No, I just, the only time I saw the second girl was after the first incident. I just assumed she looked familiar. She looks similar, but I wasn't sure.
So it could be or could not be the same girl. You believe it to be, but you don't know this person personally or anything like that. Okay. And the males that are involved, do you know them personally?
No, I don't.
Okay. And if I understand this correctly, you believe that, and you expressed to Constable O'Neill that you believe that human trafficking was taking place because of their difference in sort of their appearances and their mannerisms.
Yeah, she could barely talk properly.
Okay, and how did you know that she could barely, maybe an obvious question, but how did you know that she could barely talk properly?
When I first noticed her, she was on the bench and she wasn't talking or anything. She was just passed out. It's very noticeable when a girl dressed like that. Does she have some sort of heat stroke or something? It makes anybody wonder. She's not a drug addict. She didn't pass out on a drug overdose. So I tapped her on her shoulder and I said, "Are you aware that you're sleeping?" And she mumbled something. But I got shy and I didn't want to look like I was bothering her, and I kept walking. And then I sort of looked back a couple of times and observed, and gradually I noticed this construction guy talking to her who was like 55 or 60 years old, and she was about 25. And my cell phone wouldn't work. My cell phone battery was dead to call the police. So I went into the TD Bank, and the TD Bank manager called an ambulance, came out, and the TD Bank manager gave this so-called Jessie girl her phone. And while Jessie, whatever her name was, was talking to the 911 operator, she eventually hung up on him and could barely. could barely talk properly. And I don't know. She knew that she was drugged, but she didn't want to involve 911 for whatever reason.
And what day did this young lady, talk to 911?
It was July 30th.
It was July 30th. Okay.
Yeah.
And that phone call you're saying was made by, she used the phone belonging to, I believe you said, somebody from TD Bank.
Yeah, the TD Bank, the lady, I think was the manager.
Okay, and did you speak with the manager after?
Nope, not really.
Okay. All right. And I know it's and you feel that Constable O'Neill should have taken other investigative steps.
Right. Or whoever was notified initially on the very first day.
Right. But specifically, you say Constable O'Neill made the decision he had emailed you at some point, and you sent that email along, and I have looked at it, indicated that no further action was going to be taken.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to add that you think would be important for me to know?
Well, the guys doing it, the perps, they looked like they didn't even think they were doing anything wrong out in broad daylight. Like, what are you bothering us for? I know the police. And it's like, I don't know why. It's really weird.
Okay. And you did speak with Constable O'Neill over the phone at some point, correct?
No, not him.
Okay, I thought you did at some point.
Just the first officer, Concord or whatever.
Okay. All right. It is 2:11. Just going to turn this off.